Welcome to episode 2, folks. Episode 2 is all about testing the globe Earth model. We went on a trip down to the south coast of England to try out some of the Earth curve observation experiments for ourselves. More on that and the results of the test later, but for now, here's something for all of you coming into this completely fresh. What shape is the Earth? It's a globe, of course. Everybody knows that. But how do you know that? Well, I just know. Oh, right, but how do you know? Well, it's what we were taught at school, right? Yeah, I suppose so. So is everything you were taught at school true? Well, no, probably not. So how do you know the Earth is a globe then? Well, there are loads of photos of it in books. Yeah, you mean this photo? Yeah, that's the one. Told you it was a globe. Doesn't look like a globe on that picture though, does it? Yes, it does. What do you mean? Have you gone mad? Well, if it's a globe, then it's a sphere. So wouldn't there be some sort of shading around the edges? Yeah, I guess so. Maybe it's just perfectly in line with the sun. All right. What are the chances of that? Well, also, are those clouds actually real? And why is that continent in the middle so big? Not sure. I guess now you pointed it out, it does look a little odd. Also, where are all the stars? I guess they aren't bright enough to be seen in the picture? Oh, right. Well, I know that on a clear day in a field with no light pollution, I can see loads of stars in the sky, and that's through the Earth's supposed atmosphere. Oh, yeah. I suppose that is a little odd. What about this picture, then? Okay, so you are assuming that we went to the moon, then? Well, yeah. It was on TV, and there's loads of video footage of it and photographs. Yeah. And do you know that all of those are genuine? Well, it's from NASA, isn't it? So they must be. Oh, right. Well, there are quite a few anomalies with the moon landing videos and pictures, you know. Incorrect light angles, size, proportion issues, perspective issues. You should check out the documentary called Kubrick's Odyssey in particular. What? As in the film director, Stanley Kubrick? What's he got to do with the moon landings? Yes, Stanley Kubrick. A lot of evidence seems to suggest that at least some of the moon landings were faked, and he directed it. Okay. I suppose I'll check that out then. So what about this picture that NASA has released recently then? No stars again and no spherical shading. Well, yeah. Also, what's that written in the clouds? Eh? There. Where? There! Just there, look. Look at that. All right, yeah, I see what you mean. What the hell is that doing there? I don't know. You should look into that one yourself. Well, what about this video animation of the moon moving in front of the Earth? Surely that proves that it's a ball, and the moon for that matter. Are you taking the piss? No, you can see it there quite clearly. The moon is moving in front of the ball Earth. Well, if that's what you want to believe, then that's fine. Okay. So 3 photos. Is that the best you can do? Well, we could just do a search on Google Images. There's loads of pictures of the globe. Okay, let's try that then. What about this one? So is that a photo? Doesn't look like a photo. Looks like something that was generated on a computer to me. What about this one? This doesn't look like a photo either. What about this one? That's not a photo. This one? Is that a photo? So do you still think it's a globe then? Well, I can see what you mean, but it just sounds ludicrous. It only sounds ludicrous because that's the response you've been conditioned to have. Ask yourself the question, is it better to assume facts based on what you're told, read, see in pictures, or observe and test with your own senses? Well, yeah, that's a fair point. So if you're saying it's flat, then where's your evidence? I'm not necessarily saying it's flat. I'm just saying that you should question whether or not it's a sphere. There are more things that don't make sense with the ball Earth model, you know. Oh, okay. Like what? Well, number one, when you look outside over a long distance, do you see a curve? Well, no, but the Earth is massive, isn't it? Surely we wouldn't be able to see a curve. We're like ants on a beach ball. Well, assuming the Earth is a ball, we can use a fairly simple maths equation to calculate what the curve of the Earth is based on its radius of 3,959 miles. So in this formula, L is the length from the observer to the observed object. X will be the expected curvature over that distance. Okay, so what you're saying is that over 1 mile, the Earth would curve by 8 inches down? Yeah. Then 2 miles is 32 inches, 3 miles is 72 inches, 4 miles is 128 inches, and so on. Okay, well, we should be able to test that then. Yes, good idea. So you still haven't given me any evidence that the Earth is in a globe. Thinking about it, if it's not a globe, then where's the South Pole? Are you saying the South Pole doesn't exist? No. On the assumption that reality is closer to a flat model than the globe model, the South Pole is a border that surrounds the whole plane. Oh, right. Well, at least that explains why you wouldn't fall off the edge then. Yes. Have you heard of the Antarctic Treaty? No, I don't think I have, but I suppose you're going to tell me about it. Well, it was established by the USA and the leading global nations in 1959. Essentially, it's a treaty which protects the Antarctic from any activity apart from scientific research. What, you mean the Americans and the Russians were in cahoots? What about the space race and the Cold War? Yes, that's a whole different discussion. Do your own research on that one. Oh, okay. Anyway, the Antarctic has been out of bounds since the treaty was agreed in the early 60s. The only people that go there are scientists and researchers. You can go there on holiday or visit, but it's really expensive. Check that out for yourself. Okay, I will. So why do you think that the treaty was implemented? Well, it's difficult to say for sure, but clearly they're trying to protect something. I don't believe there is anywhere on Earth of that size that is that well protected. There was a US explorer called Richard E. Byrd, or commonly known as Admiral Byrd, who spent several decades exploring the area on and off, starting from the late 30s. One particular piece of information that he reported that was in the public eye was the large volume of natural resources that he discovered. If you had shale gas in your back garden, what do you expect would happen? They'd probably come and drill it out. Yeah, exactly. So there's something fishy about the Antarctic, basically. What do you suppose he found? I'm not sure. I think that's still up for grabs as far as researching is concerned. Some people speculate that he found the edge of a dome that covers the Earth, but that is pure speculation at this stage, really. Wow, that's insane. Yeah, it's pretty out there, isn't it? So, what else? This is getting really interesting. Well, another issue with the globe relating to the Antarctic is the flight paths the airliners take. What do you mean? Well, if you look into it, there are very few flights that fly over or near the Antarctic. Yes, but that could just be because of the danger of crashing. Well, yeah, but they fly over the Arctic. Oh, true. While we're on the subject of planes, what about the fact that the globe is supposedly spinning? Yeah, come to think of it, I've always thought it was strange that we don't feel it. Yes, given the size of the globe, the speed someone on the equator would move is around 1,000 miles per hour. Crikey. So if a plane takes off the Earth and it's spinning below it in the opposite direction, then the plane should benefit from a plus 1,000 mile an hour boost. Yeah, I guess so. Never thought of that. Isn't the reason we don't feel it down to general relativity, though? Well, imagine this. If you're spinning on a roundabout at the park, what happens when you jump in the air? You gradually slow down and stop spinning, but the roundabout carries on beneath you. Exactly. Here's another one regarding aircraft. If an aircraft travels on the same trajectory, then why wouldn't it fly into space as the Earth curves away from it below? Well, surely they have onboard computers on the plane, or even the pilots would account for that and make manual corrections. Apparently not, but I agree it needs more research. Have you ever looked out of the window when you've been on a plane at 20,000 feet and observed the horizon? Yeah, it always looks pretty flat. What about on the beach? What does the horizon look like there? Yeah, same again. Maybe it's just not far enough up though. Okay, well, what about the footage of the Red Bull jump? There you go. There's the curve. Haha. Yes, the first clip shows a curve, but that's clearly using a curved lens, and that's what's creating the effect. If the Earth was curved, as it's shown in that picture, then it would be far smaller, surely. Look at the picture in the cabin. Flat. Wow. The stacks of footage out there of amateur balloon and rockets that have been sent up with a camera attached Just bear in mind that the ones using a GoPro or similar camera lens will cause the horizon to curve unnaturally. Also, notice how the horizon always comes up to eye level. Same on land or in the air. Surely, if there was a curve, the horizon should drop as you move up higher. Okay, I've got you now. What about the water travelling in the opposite direction down the plug hole? Do you actually know that's true? Okay, but what can I look at to look into this myself? Do your own research. For example, there are stacks of channels on YouTube covering this subject, but more importantly, get out there and find out for yourself. Try some experiments, share your findings with others so that we can all find out the truth. So there you go. In this context, the actual shape of the Earth isn't the most relevant point for me. It's deeper than that. Questioning something so fundamental as this makes you question everything. And rightly so. How do you really know what's true and what's not? Can you believe everything you were taught at school, or you see on the TV, or even reading books for that matter? Are we all just hypnotised into thinking that our reality is something it's not? Cue the Matrix music. Or think of it this way: unlearn what you have learned. Or if you prefer, follow Alice into Wonderland. Anyway, moving on. Taking all of the above into consideration, we decided that the best way to address this was for us to go and observe and test it for ourselves. So we packed up our tent, sleeping bags and headed off to the south coast of England for a jolly old weekend in the sun in Weymouth.
What a cracking intro, Robbo. Do us a favour next time. Don't try and sound like Mark Sargent. Evening, gang. We've made it to Portland Bill, south coast of England. We're pretty much as south as you can go, really, in terms of the English coast. Bit of a semi-famous place. I don't know how many people would know, but it's quite a famous lighthouse, Portland Bill. Used to be a bit of a cartoon about the chap who lived in there when we was kids. So there's the lighthouse. And the aim is now to see if we can see the Isle of Wight, the Channel Islands, and even the north coast of France. It's about 7:15 in the evening, and we're quite lucky. The sun is almost right behind us, so it's not going to impair our view. To be fair, it's a clear sky. It should help our views, to be honest. So these are good conditions for what we've got to do. Okay, so we're down here now towards the coast. We can't actually get down to the water level, not without risking our lives. If we just do a quick pan across, we're not sure if that's the peninsula might be Bournemouth, the next piece of land, or if that's the Isle of Wight yet. So we need to check this on the map, and we need to get a bit of a better view. But certainly in terms of France, I don't know about you, mate. I can't see or smell any onions or garlic. Mind you, that was a long shot, wasn't it? That said, one good news, we've got a tripod, we've got the telescope lens, and this looks like some pretty good rock to set it up on, doesn't it, if we can find the right place. Maybe sort of get down towards where them guys are fishing over there or something.
Sounds good.
Yeah? Okay, let's do it.
Let's try it. So as Raver was just saying, basically we can't really get down to sea level. I don't know whether you can see, but these rocks are pretty nasty, and I forgot my crampons.
Yeah, and to be fair, we're dressed for a few beers, not for rock climbing, aren't we? So we can't get down there. Just to geographically place people, I just want to come round. I don't know if we can see this. Essentially speaking, France is that way. So this is the English Channel. France is that way. Okie doke.
Jersey and Guernsey.
That is way, yeah.
Looks like we can't see them.
No. Well, we try with the telescope, but it's not looking great, is it?
I think we'd be able to see something with our eyes, wouldn't we?
Yeah, okie doke. So we're going to find ourselves a nice pitch now, get the tripod set up and see what we can see.
See what we can see.
Deal.
So we're here at Portland Bill, and basically we've just gone out as far as we can. Basically on the east side of Portland Bill, sort of southeast side. We're just looking out and we can basically see this peninsula. This is what we kind of saw earlier, but now I've basically put the telephoto lens on the camera, and I've also used the digital zoom to zoom in. And you can quite clearly sort of make out some features on there, although it is a little bit blurry unfortunately, because that's digital zoom and optical zoom. Now that's with the
digital zoom all the way out, so probably looks a bit clearer there. So going to have to go away now and do a bit of investigation just to find out what exactly this peninsula is, how far it is from our location, and just work out our exact height and what the height of that peninsula is, so and what the curvature should be over that distance. So obviously we'll go away and work that out as part of the presentation of the actual final film. As you can see, the waves are starting to get up a little bit here, and a few sort of splashing in my face almost. So probably best to move to the other side now and have a look around there.
The area we observed was the peninsula of St Aldham's Head on the south coast of England. We're at the very top of Portland Bill, looking due east. We're just over 18 miles from St Aldham's Head Peninsula, seen in the video, and based on that we expected a curve of around 218 feet at sea level. Our eye line was difficult to estimate, but we think we were about 40 foot above the sea due to the rocks. This is a view of St Aldham's Head. As you can see, there's a chapel in the distance which is reported to be 350 feet above the sea level. We think this is the chapel on our picture, although we can't be 100% sure on that due to the poor image quality over the 18 miles of optical and digital zoom. So taking another picture of the side of St Aldham's Head found on the web, you can clearly see that the lower part of it is not visible in our image that was taken from over 18 miles away. Our results clearly show that some obscurity is occurring, but the question is what's causing it? Is it the laws of perspective, or is it evidence of some curvature? Looking at the maths again, we estimate that about 40% of the lower half of the peninsula is obscured in the picture. So that's around 140 feet based on a height above sea level of 350 feet. So that's 100 foot of obscurity that's occurring, which is short of the anticipated curve obscurity of 218 feet by 78 feet. Or in other words, if the Earth is a ball as described, then we seem to be seeing 78 feet more of the peninsula than we'd expect. This could be accounted for by the fact that we were elevated by the approximate 40 to 50 feet as well. The good thing about being on a peninsula was the horizon was surrounding us. I've got to say, it looked flat all the way around, and we must have been talking several miles there, although it's difficult to calculate that distance across the horizon very accurately. The area
so just move round to the what will be the west side of Portland Bill, and we're looking out now at what essentially is Torquay. I think a bit further along here we can quite clearly see the peninsula coming out. I mean, the main problem we've got now is the sun, because it's extremely bright, and I think it's pretty much silhouetting the whole image on the recording, because the sun is like literally directly in front of us. So this is probably one that we're going to have to come back and do in the morning, when the sun's on the opposite side, and obviously the position of the sun then will be more in our favour. I'm just going to try zooming this in, because obviously you can see the end there, and just see whether you see any more details. I'm trying to hold this with my hand, so probably not holding it very steady. But now, I mean, all you can see really is the glare off the sun on that one. So I'm not sure this is really going to work at the moment because of the amount of light that's coming from the sun. So as I say, it's going to be a case of coming back tomorrow morning, give it a go when the sun's on the other side, and see what results we get on this side. But you've got Torquay over there. We know there's a lighthouse on the end that we definitely should not be able to see over that distance, and that's what we're going to try and spot.
I think in summary then of tonight's session, there's a tinge of disappointment, to be honest. You know, I was hoping that we'd see Cherbourg or the Isle of Wight. Both of them are somewhere between 70 and 80 kilometres, so maybe we were asking a bit much. Definitely see the end of the peninsula on the east side. We're talking something 15, 16 miles away, so we need to do the maths. We were probably somewhere between 5 and 10 feet above sea level, so we need to do the maths on that one. As Robbo's already showed you, west side, we can see Torquay, but the sun's a bit too strong for us. So come back in the morning, probably a little bit worse for wear after a few warm English ales tonight, and see what we can see. The good news is, early calculations, we're talking somewhere about 25 miles, aren't we, to Torquay? So
yeah, I think it's roughly. Yeah.
So you know, we could have a real good result there if we've got some clarity in the morning. And just finally, nice bit of English culture. The boys in the van playing a few tunes. I don't know if we can hear this. I don't know if we can pick this up. Everyone's having fun down at the seaside.
I just need to mix the chemicals together. What's the worst thing that can happen? I'm sure it will be fine. I'm a genius. I've created a monster. I'm alive.
All the stars. I've got to be honest, we felt a bit down earlier when we did our experiments, and to be honest, the sea looked like a bloody ball at times, and yet when we sat here under the stars, albeit with a few beers in us, it looks like a frigging planetarium. It looks like points of light on a dome, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much so. You can see the curvature in it. If you look over the far side, I don't know if you're actually picking anything up on the camera, but as you look up, you can see it kind of sloping up, sloping around like a dome.
You really can. And towards, right above us, almost right above us, is where you see the rift and the concentration of stars, isn't it?
Yes, it's definitely the rift. I've never seen the rift before.
No, but the reason we've never seen it is because we've never seen such a quiet sky, have we?
No,
there's no light here at all, is there?
Absolutely nothing, no light pollution at all.
One big question, Robbo, that you just asked me, and we need to point out, and I hope that in some way we've got some footage. What can't we see?
What can't we see? Well, can we see the planets?
No, what is not in the sky at night?
The moon.
Where is the fucking moon?
Know where the fuck the moon is.
The moon is not present tonight.
The moon is nowhere.
In the south of England.
So, what's the date today, Raver?
The date today is the 15th of August 2015. We are in Weymouth, in the south of England. The sky presents no moon.
We've got a beautifully clear sky.
It's a clear sky.
Literally zero light pollution.
No light pollution. We can see every star.
See the moon.
We can see the dark rift.
Nothing.
There is no moon.
Absolute bugger all.
Robbo, what is going on?
No idea, mate. No idea. I don't even... What I can't get my head round is the camera's not picking up any of this.
It's screen again.
Yeah, it's got it here.
There's loads of shooting stars.
The camera's just got a blank screen. There's nothing.
Morning everyone. We're back down at Portland Bill, Weymouth. Just after 9 AM. Sunday the 16th of August. We've got good conditions again. Obviously sun's in a very different place, but we've got good conditions. We were a bit downbeat last night when we'd finished. Felt a bit deflated by the whole experience. But things have took an upturn since. We've had a chat with a few locals. One of the guys reckons you can actually see the Isle of Wight from here on a good day, so we're going to try again to see that. And we're going to try and get some better views of Torquay. Literally, we went out last night, had a bit of fun. Up as soon as we was awake, packed up the tent. Literally come down in the clothes we bloody slept in, and we're ready to take some measurements, do what we got to do, have ourselves a full English and a cup of tea, and then get over to Torquay and try and relate what we've taken photos of to the landmarks we can see when we get there. So we've got a busy morning ahead. We found a talking telescope looking out across the English Channel. We're going to give it a quick run, just see if there's any secrets it lets out the bag really. I don't know what it's going to tell us about, so we'll put 50p in and have a look.
For extended viewing, insert additional money now, or at any time during the viewing period. Viewing starts after 3 bleeps. Welcome to Portland Bill. From here you have excellent views of the English Channel. Below the waterline is a ledge known as the Shambles that extends into the sea. This produces a tidal race with treacherous currents that have been the downfall of many ships over the centuries. Since the 18th century, a number of lighthouses have been built around this point to guide vessels through these hazardous waters. These include the high and low lighthouses built in 1869. These were replaced with the present single tower in 1906, which has been automated and demanned. It now houses a visitor centre. The old lower lighthouse, which has been converted to provide accommodation and is used as a bird observatory and field centre, can still be seen on the hill behind you. The tall white stone obelisk was built in 1844 to warn boats about the shelf of rock that extends into the sea. You may notice extreme erosion on the seaward side, which demonstrates the exposed nature of this point. To your right is Pulpit Rock, a stone outcrop which shows the original ground level before quarrying began. The other talking telescope provides different information, including the Dorset coastline and Portland Harbour.
Sorry, mate. Is that it?
That was the most useless information you could possibly have asked for, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But now we know the history of the lighthouses. So we're back at Portland Bill, and we're just on the what will be the west side again. We've just gone slightly further south of where we were yesterday when the sun was really bright, and you can actually see the coastline heading over to the west much more clearly now. You can pick out quite a few features on there. The area that we're looking at the moment is probably fairly close. It's probably, I'm guessing, somewhere near where our campsite is. But you can quite clearly see some what looks like beach on the bottom, and what looks like some houses and boats and things at sea level. But obviously we'll have to look into that further when we get the pictures back. So this is just with the standard optical zoom, telephoto on, and then if I just do the digital zoom as well and try and keep it in some sort of, there's a bird, reasonable position. Obviously we'll have to work out afterwards what the actual distance is here. Just zoom that back out. If we just pan across, now at some point the image is going to go because there's a big rock just in front of me which is going to obscure the shot.
Just to add to this a little bit, St Aldham's Peninsula wasn't the only observation we made. We also viewed the view of the west side of the island, aimed to target Torquay in particular, which we knew was even further away than St Aldham's at a distance of 46.5 miles. However, the observation on this side of Portland Bill were nowhere near as easy as the other side. And our first attempt on the Saturday evening, the sun was directly in front of us and it basically silhouetted out the whole image. When we tried the following morning, we had better results, but in the distance the pictures were still very grainy and particular details were extremely difficult to make out. You can see the details in the image, but not enough detail to actually work out where the locations are. It's hard to describe really, but there was like a haze obscuring the quality of the image that we didn't see anywhere as much as we did on that east side observation.
So I think just to save us about 10 minutes worth of cinematography time, Robbo's just panning across the peninsula that runs down towards Torquay. The sun's particularly bright. There's a real haze over the sea and we can't really see anything. So just so we're not missing anything, there really is nothing to see.
So what we decided to do was travel along the south coast, stop off at various towns and attempt to look back and observe Portland Bill from each westerly location, going further and further along to the west. So the first stop was West Bay. This view was from a place called Chesil Beach at West Bay, and it was on a pier at around 30 foot from sea level. What you're looking at is the far south end of Portland Bill that was still visible, but it's not entirely clear where this is on Portland Bill itself. Freezing the frame, could this be Portland Bill Lighthouse? It's not that clear enough to say, really. If it is, then it's very interesting, as Portland Bill is noted to be 135 feet at maximum height, which means over a distance of nearly 19 miles you get an expected curve of 239 feet. So it shouldn't actually be visible from our location at Chesil Beach. Of course, that is working on the assumption that this lump is the lighthouse, which is just not clear from the picture.
I'll just mention that this is Portland from West Bay, so I know when I have to the end.
Chesil Beach.
Chesil Beach, is it?
Chesil,
Right? Is that what it's called? Okay. There's actually something out on the water up there,
Is that?
which is not helping because it's probably affecting the focus of the camera. Can you see it? Like a black ship?
You see the boat, yeah?
Yeah.
For me, mate, the big thing is we can see it, can't we? We can see the ends.
We can't see the lighthouse, though.
That's only because we haven't got enough of a zoom.
Well, I don't know. You don't know, mate? How do you know that?
Well, because I can see the land.
Yeah, but that could be, the land that we were on could be obscured on the right hand side. If I was playing my devil's advocate.
Well, yeah, okay,
caller
possibly,
card.
but look at the way it moves down.
Yeah, but it would do that anyway, wouldn't it? If you chopped off.
Yeah, but when we were on it, it's not like all of a sudden it went down, is it? It's not like it was all about the same level. So
Then a sudden drop.
it's not like a sudden. The only drop is the end of it.
Yeah, fair.
So it's not like if it was going, we'd have obscured a load of it, wouldn't we?
It'd just be good if we can see that castle or something on the top.
Yeah.
But
We took some
snaps. Yeah, I got
All right, we'll take a-
snaps and video, man.
We jumped back in the car and we moved on to the next location on the west coast. Next up was Lyme Regis. This was now over 25 miles away from Portland Bill, and you could really start to see the island of Portland itself was starting to become very obscured. At 25 miles, we're expecting a curve of 416 feet, so now it's starting to get quite significant. Another awkward fishing boat stuck on the way of the image. And no sign of anything that would even vaguely resemble a lighthouse on this one. Portland itself reaches a height of 495 feet at its highest peak, but it's difficult to tell from these images if we're observing a 79-foot obscurity, although you can clearly see that Portland is visible.
View from Lyme Regis, looking out at Portland Bill.
Anyway, back in the car and on to the next location. stop was Seaton. We're now at a distance of just under 30 miles from Portland Bill. Note that the horizon looks curved. Please ignore this. It's been caused by my telephoto lens, and this isn't what it looked like to the naked eye. Anyway, ignoring that and focusing on what we can see, you can still see the top of Portland Isle fairly clearly on this one. And this is quite interesting, as we're now at an anticipated curve of 600 feet over 30 miles, but we can still see the top of the Portland Isle. Back in the car to ponder that excitement, and moving on to the next location, which was Sidmouth. So now at Sidmouth, and now a whopping 36 miles with an expected curve of 864 feet. Portland Isle was not visible. We think that what we're seeing here is just the peninsula of a town, well, just south of a town called Beer, my kind of place. And no, I'm not making that up, the place does exist. This is the view from Sidmouth.
Well, that was all down my foot. I know the wasp is going to be stinging me, and I've got my
I think we just need to consider some conclusions based on what we've seen. Again, not to dictate to people, just our personal conclusions. So if we start with St Aldham's Head, when we viewed this using the telescopic lens and compared it to the picture, we reckon there was about a 140 foot dip.
Can't remember exactly what I'd put in there now.
I think it was about I think it's about 140 foot,
yeah, probably
and
was.
We'd lost about 70 foot, haven't we? 78 foot.
Yeah, it had been obscured. By
We
something.
were maybe, I don't know, 30, 40 foot above sea level.
Yeah.
Possibly, and then you've got to take into account the tide. So can't really conclude too much about that. Although it looks like we've lost some land.
That's a big problem, Ray, and it's a good point. The thing that you're mentioning there is the tides, because it's not something we really thought of properly before we went, and we considered when we were doing the measurements, is it?
Yeah.
So I don't know what effect that will actually have. I don't know what the maths is, haven't looked at it, but clearly that's going to have some impact on the whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, one other thing, obviously, we looked at St Aldham's Head in the evening, about 7 PM, 8 PM. The rest of it was in the morning, between 9 and 1, so...
Yeah.
Again, tides possibly totally different, we don't know. Okay, moving on. Chisel Beach. We could see Portland Bill pretty well from there, couldn't we?
It was clear.
Couldn't see the lighthouse.
Well, there was that sort of blob on the end,
Yeah.
as I said in the video, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't a lighthouse, and it's that inconclusive that it's just pure speculation.
Yeah. Then we went to Lyme Regis. We could still see Portland Bill.
You could, but do you remember we were seeing some areas that almost disappeared? There were gaps in the island, in the distance.
Yeah, where it looked like some level of obscurity. Either the low level land was gone over the curve, perhaps, or equally obscured by the horizon or something like that.
Yeah, one or the other, not sure. Tides.
one of those things.
And then at Seaton, where the curve should have been something in the region of 600 feet, we could see the tip of the top part, couldn't we?
Yeah, we could still see it. I mean, there's just no way that you could work out how much we could actually see, because you can't see any markings on that peak to see how tall it actually is or how much you show it.
And again, sorry, the top of that is nearly 500 foot.
Yeah.
We were expecting about a 600 foot curve.
Yeah.
Above, how far were we above sea level tides again? It's inconclusive, isn't it?
Well, I think actually with that one, tides are probably relevant because the fact is we could see it.
Yeah.
If you think about it. So the tide doesn't really come into play. The tide does only come into play when you trying to measure how much is obscured.
I think it's a good point.
With that one, we could see it. We were on a wall about, I would say, I think the camera was at eye level. So I'm going to say like 1.7, 1.8 metres.
Yep.
So what's that in feet?
About 6 foot.
About 6 foot. About 6 foot off the sea level. And it was, the top of it was clearly visible. That's what I would say.
Interesting one. And then finally, Sidmouth. Couldn't see a bar of it, could we? But we was expecting about an 800 foot curve there, weren't we? So
yeah, quite significant of that.
It's interesting, really. You know, my mind has changed constantly while we were there, constantly afterwards, constantly reviewing the film. It's flitting every 10 minutes from whether it's a ball or a flat plane, and I'm not sure. And these results don't help us really, do they?
I don't know whether it was the Semtex music or the PsyTrance, but I did feel a bit spaced out by the time we'd been to those 4 different places.
Did you? I think that's more to do with the strawberry cider, mate.
Maybe it was. It's just none of it was conclusive, really, was it?
No. If I'm going to be completely honest, at this stage, it's not 1-0. I'd say it's about 0.6 to the ball and 0 to the. You know, if it's a football match, it's that the ball's about half a goal ahead in my mind. So inconclusive. I don't know what to say.
I think you could argue it both ways.
Probably, yeah.
Because the other thing for me that was key was if you looked at the horizon, there was absolutely no sign of curve there. Always come up to eye level as people report, looked perfectly flat. And bear in mind, we were out on a peninsula at the end of Portland Bill, so we could see all around us pretty much.
We could, yeah.
Now, I don't know what distance that would be, but you've got to be talking about a few miles, so you'd expect to be able to see some sort of curve, but nothing.
So this is so we're saying inconclusive. Far too many loose parameters that we couldn't control, and this is why we've got to hit an inland lake where we can be a couple of inches above the surface of the water. A lot less that we need to control. No tides. We know what the level of the lake is, and we literally can we see something the other side. We can even have something that's measured so we know how high it actually is, can't we?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Great stuff. You know what that means, don't you? They've got to wait for the sequel.
There will be a Raven Robbo Flat Earth Volume 2, I suppose.
I think so, yeah.
Or is it a Volume 1.1?
Well, I don't even know if it's just Episode 3.
Maybe it
Don't really matter what it's called, does it?
But look out for it.
Look out for it.
So to summarise, we had a great weekend away in Weymouth, and I've got to say that the strawberry cider and local bands were great. As far as the experiment was concerned, we both felt somewhat deflated on the return trip with what we'd found. Not necessarily because the results point to a level of curvature occurring, but more the fact that we didn't feel the results were conclusive. So where do we go from here? Well, I think this is only the beginning. There's much more testing we can do. We'll be brainstorming out more tests soon, or maybe you have some ideas for some tests that we could do. Well, if you do, then send them through to raverandrobbo@gmail.com. We talked about repeating the curve test on a smaller scale and across the body of water instead of sea. That should be more controlled conditions. For now, that just about wraps up this episode, other than just to say thanks for watching and watch out for more episodes coming soon. These episodes will include more Earth shape testing, a very, very revealing further analysis of the roll-like stones, including, amazingly, some faces in the rocks that somebody spotted, and, as promised, a whole episode covering the Hellfire Caves in Oxfordshire, where we made some very interesting discoveries. So that's all for now, folks. Again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and get in touch. All the best. See you all soon.
When it comes calling, the temperature's falling, our fear is crawling. Don't quit, we're all in. ship's a mile out, don't blow the lights out. They'll cry their eyes out if we sink the lighthouse. Since fear itself is cruel and selfish, a contradiction, a fatal addiction. You've tried to shout out my words in your mouth, but they'll cry their eyes out if we sink the lighthouse. We're hard on the angels' heels, with fire and brimstone wheels. The meadow is starred with bones and flowers and tears. The ship's a mile out, don't blow the lights out. They'll cry their eyes out if we sink the lighthouse. Darkness closing, we're decomposing. We're made of starlight from a cruel and dark night. The guilty crushed out, we're left in no doubt. They'll cry their eyes out if we sink the lighthouse. We're hard on the angels' heels, with fire and brimstone wheels.